Yep. Well, curious, what did you think? Do you think, to me, I don't know if Beterbiev was fighting to the level of the competition. Maybe he wasn't up for this fight, but I didn't think he looked that good until he got the stoppage when he started putting it on Yarde and landing shots.
Or was it Yarde, Ken?
Yeah.
Was it Yarde looking better than you expected?
That's exactly what I want to know from you, because I don't know. Like, when I watch it, I'm like, wow, is Yarde better or is Beterbiev slipping? I defer to the expert. What do we know? What do you know, Teddy? What happened?
A little bit of both. I predicted before the fight, and I put it out there in the tweets before the fight. I said before the fight, I expected a tough fight early on. Beterbiev's not the fastest starter in the world. He's not the hardest guy to find, as you were alluding to. Yarde has ability. He's a big light heavyweight, maybe too big. He I don't know how he makes the weight, but he's a huge light heavyweight. He's very physically strong, and he's a good puncher. And, he's got experience. He's been around. He fought Sergey Kovalev. He got beat by him. He had Sergey Kovalev out. He had him really hurt. And then Kovalev came back and wound up stopping him late in that fight for his first loss. Then his second loss, he lost to an undefeated fighter in a decision. So he was not just a token win or token guy. This is a guy, I think it was the mandatory, but this is a guy who deserve to be the mandatory, which most of these mandatories, they're not deserving, unfortunately. They're because of political maneuvering, political purpose that they're put there. But Yarde was real. The problem with Yarde is that he'll dissipate late, if you make him dissipate late. And guess what? Beterbiev's a guy that's going to make you dissipate late, because Beterbiev's a guy, he's kind of like the flame on that stove that's boiling that water. If you get that flame hot enough and you keep it on that stove with that pot of water, sooner or later that pot of water is going to go away. But if the flame's not hot enough, that pot of water is going to hang around. Well, Beterbiev, to his credit, he doesn't let the pot of water hang around usually. Was he 19-0 now, or 20-0 with 20 knockouts, or 19-0 with 19 knockouts, whatever it is. He's got a 100% knockout record ratio for his, every fight he's won by knockout. He's a guy that you got to beat him. He ain't gonna beat himself. You gotta bring it. You gotta bring your lunch. All those old phrases and axioms. You need them all. You're gonna be there all day. And as I said, I had put out there in the tweets, and even before that, where
19-0 with 19 knockouts. Sorry.
Where I thought Yarde could hurt him early, because Beterbiev starts slowly. He could hurt him, get his attention, shake him up early, and then Beterbiev would have to get to him late. And it would be a contested fight and a good fight, and it was. And Beterbiev, to your question earlier, where I said it's a matter of both Yarde being better than you think and Beterbiev sliding. Beterbiev's 38 years old. He had over 300 amateur fights. He fought the best in the world for years. He's been in a bunch of wars in the pros. He's getting older, and it's showing. It's starting to show. Definitely starting to show a little bit. It's sliding. But the one thing that don't get old is character. Character and power. Ask George Foreman, ask me about that. George Foreman will tell you, yeah, and he'll show you, and he proved, and he lived it, that power, it stays around, and character stays around. And that's Beterbiev. He's getting old. His body's getting old. His reflexes are getting slow. Everything else, and he's a little easier to find now, and his skin cuts up easier and breaks easier now than it did before. But his character, that's eternal. That doesn't dissipate with age. That doesn't disappear. That doesn't get boiled away on a pot. And that's what he won by. Matter of fact, I'll make it real simple. I'll break the fight down. But I tell you, really what it all is about, in a nutshell, is what my mentor Customato, for 8 years when I was up there with him, being forged, first as a fighter, then as a trainer by this man. We had commandments. We had laws. We had codes to live by, to train by. to be a great fighter, to be a great trainer. And one of the things that he used to repeat to me over and over, and it was one of the first commandments, if you would, when it comes to understanding how to develop a great fighter and what it takes to be a great fighter. He used to always say over and over to me, Teddy, when there's a battle going on with two men with comparable skills, that at the end of the day, the man with the greater will always triumph. Will always beat out skill unless one man's skill is so far superior that his will is never really tested. And that's what this fight was all about. It was, forget about everything else, and you're not going to hear it anywhere else. But yeah, the skill, the counter, that counter left hook by all that stuff, the jabs were important, all that. At the end of the day, this fight was won because Beterbiev had the greater will. That he broke down, it took 8 rounds, but he broke down Yarde physically and mentally. And it was a terrific fight. And I give Yarde credit and everything, but I'm going to point out everything. Things that other people ain't going to point out because they don't know, or they don't want to, or they just can't. Whatever it is. But first of all, from the easy way, from the physical standpoints, the jab was very important in this fight for both fighters. For Yarde to keep separation so he could create counter punches when Beterbiev came forward. And for Beterbiev, the jab was important to give him cover when he does come forward. You know, to kind of like having a smoke screen as you come forward. You know, to block the guy's vision a little bit, make it harder for him to take pot shots at you. Put bugs on the windshield, like I used to say when I was calling fights, when you're using your jab to press forward. So the jab was very important. And Yarde early on, I gave him the first 2 rounds, and he was able to use his counter left hook. He was able to do some good scoring. He was able to use his legs enough to keep that separation, to keep Beterbiev from being set to deliver those powerful shots. And then Beterbiev caught Yarde at the end of the third with a good left hook, and he won that round. It was 2-1. I had to fight. It was going back and forth. I had to fight, as I said at the top of the show, 4-3 after 7, going into the 8th round. But the fight for Beterbiev, it's in total. And what I mean by that, it's the total sum of parts with him in a real way. It's the pressure that he brings round after round that takes time. That's why I tweeted that Yarde would give him trouble early. Because Beterbiev, with his style, with his abilities, with his talents, it takes time to get to you. It gets time to warm the engine up. It gets time, as I said earlier, with the metaphor of having that flame boil the water and to get rid of the water. It takes time. A fighter is like a puddle outside in the middle of July, and the sun starts to evaporate the puddle right in front of your eyes, and you look at the puddle, and then an hour later the puddle's gone, that the sun has, just evaporated, as I said. That's Beterbiev. He evaporates you, and it takes time to do that, and it took him 8 rounds to do that. And I'll tell you, there was some funny stuff going on there that I'd like to understand a little better. One thing was, first of all, how he dropped him. Early in 8th round, Beterbiev just missed. If I was commentating, I would have said this. He just missed by a hair. He just missed a beautiful short right hand. He throws beautiful short right hands sometimes. He just missed it, landing it clean on Yarde. Yarde was starting to drop his left hand to throw a lead left uppercut, which is very dangerous. Very dangerous because you expose yourself. And Beterbiev saw it, and he tried to shoot the right hand in that gap, and he just didn't quite time it perfect, but it went into the computer. See, Beterbiev is a Terminator. Beterbiev is that Terminator, that, remember Arnold Schwarzenegger in the Terminator? He calculates. He calculates right away. The red lines go out, and then the crossing red lines, they go all different directions, and he starts to see where your weakness is. He saw that. He saw that in the 8th round, and he put it in his computer, and then later in the 8th round, he saw it again. He was looking for it. He saw the left hand of Yarde start to bang. This time he didn't miss. The right hand perfect. Oh my goodness, what a beautiful thing! Beautiful timed, placed right hand as the left hand was dropping for the uppercut. So well done, and it drops him. Fight's over, basically. But here's the kicker, Ken. Nobody picked up on. Yarde gets up, goes over to his corner, stumbles a little bit, goes over to his corner, and he says something to his corner. He said something to the trainer at the bottom of the steps. I don't know what he said. But he said something. And then the fight resumes. He gets hurt again, and all of a sudden the trainer, and I'm not saying he was wrong, but the trainer jumps up. Some people thought it was a little quick. I didn't think it was. But all of a sudden the trainer jumps up and stops the fight. Right? I'm thinking, again, that's me, but I look at everything. I'm thinking, Ken, wait a minute. What did Mr. Yarde say to his trainer 3 seconds earlier or 4 seconds earlier? What did he say? Did he say stop it? Did he? I don't know. I'm not saying I know. I don't know. I'm telling you, I don't know. But I know he said something. And then I know seconds later, after Beterbiev goes in there to finish the job, he gets up and he stops the fight. And the referee sees that he's stopping the fight. And the referee, of course, does what the corner complies him to do. Stops the fight. And so that's just an added little thing in there that I'm curious about. But at the end of the day, what I'm not curious about is Beterbiev. I know what Beterbiev is. He's the Terminator. And he's getting older. Remember Arnold in the comeback of the Terminator when he was older? He's getting older. He's still a Terminator, but he's getting older now. And there's a problem. There's another Terminator. We'll talk about it when you're ready. But there's another Terminator out there named Bevel. And Bevel's a different Terminator. Do you remember the more advanced prototype of Terminator, the one that could turn into liquid metal? You remember that one, Ken?
Yeah.
That was the advanced prototype Terminator, right? Yeah, that's Bevel. That's Bevel, whatever you call him. It don't matter. Because he can fight.